The Heat had the 4th best record in the league, the best record in the East, the 6th best net rating, and made the Eastern Conference Finals. I am recording this the day after Jimmy Butler dropped 47 points on the Celtics head tops in Game 6, so I have no idea if they've made the finals or not, but I don't think that changes much of the purpose of this video. Speaking of the purpose of this video, the Heat have a first round pick this year, so who are they likely to select? Well, I've scoured the internet for mock drafts to gain information and selected 4 players I think have a chance to be selected by them, and I'm going to give you some info on them. So, without any further dilly-dallying, let's get into it. Let's start with Christian Braun out of Kansas. Braun is an intense competitor and fights for every inch in the court. He was willing to do whatever the team needed him to do at Kansas, whether that was being a simple spot-up guy or a more creative threat. He's a very underrated athlete and has more pop and explosion than people give him credit for. He's an impactful defender who can manage against guards and smaller wings. His shooting should be good after a robust sample of shooting at the college level. I'd expect him to be able to make shots off the catch and maybe be able to attack closeouts and create out of that. He would be a great fit as a role player on this Heat team, both from a cultural aspect and in terms of what he can bring on the court. He could probably at minimum stretch the floor on the offensive end and compete on the defensive end. Next up, let's talk about Jaden Hardy out of the G League Ignite program. Hardy had a reputation as a sharpshooter coming out of high school, and that was called into question after his season with the G League Ignite team. He shot 27% from 3, which isn't great, but the G League is where prospects' efficiency goes to die. The shot will have to develop to warrant him being selected this high. He certainly has more to offer though. He developed a lot as a ball handler in his time in the G League, and his 15.5% assist rate showed that. I'm buying his potential as a pick and roll conductor. He's also a very versatile scorer of jumpers, hitting them out of the pick and roll, isolation, and whipping out step backs and mid-range leaners. His handle also might be the best in his class in terms of his technique and depth of his bag of tricks. His scoring in the paint is more of a concern though. Defensively, he struggled both on and off the ball, and his lack of athleticism could be a concern. The Heat have a really solid foundation, but as Joel Embiid said, they're probably still one more star player away from true title contention. I wouldn't be super confident it happens, but I do think Hardy does have that star potential, at least on the offensive end. Next up, let's talk about Marjon Beauchamp out of the G League Ignite program. Beauchamp is an amazing athlete with great physical tools that need some work to improve his overall skill level. He's excellent in transition, crashes the boards hard, and shows great potential as an on-ball defender. His wingspan and lateral quickness are the building blocks of a lockdown primary defender. He's still a bit rough around the edges, especially when it comes to his awareness and instincts though. His ball handling isn't too bad either. How he can contribute offensively in the half court is a big question that will need to be answered, but as long as he reaches his defensive potential and the jumper at least comes around, he should be able to make it work with the offensive talent around him. Beauchamp feels like a Heat player with his athleticism and raw talent, and based on their history, I wouldn't put it past the Heat helping him reach his fullest potential. Finally, let's talk about Trevor Keels out of Duke. Keels very much feels like a player the Heat would take a bet on. Picking him here might be a bit of a reach, but if they do, I feel like they have an exact plan for him. Keels kinda does a bit of everything, but doesn't really excel in one area. He can handle the ball, defend both on and off the ball, and the jumper has a chance of coming good. With Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo becoming free agents this offseason, and Duncan Robertson's future seemingly in the air, I think that as long as the shot comes around, I could very easily see Keels fitting in on this Heat roster.